Hello and welcome to the Monroe Method Clancast. I am Jason Monroe. This is episode 125. Do you know, I get so mixed up with those, especially when I'm a bit disorganized. I'm pretty sure I've recorded 124 and it's in this microphone. I've just not dealt with it yet. I think it's 125. Right, a couple of things. A little bit of housekeeping. I've realised that in the same way that I always introduce myself in the episode number at the beginning, I should probably start asking things. Number one, if you have not already done so, could you go and rate this podcast wherever you're listening to it? I was looking at the podcast on Spotify over the weekend and noticed it's on 65-star reviews, which is pretty incredible. I don't know what that does. I don't know if it will at some point push it into a chart, make it discoverable by other people without knowing who I am from Instagram or being one of my clients and stuff like that. It is a throwaway thing. It will take you seconds to do it right now. Just back out, go to the overall podcast page, find the thing where you rate it. And, you don't want to be the first person to give it less than 5 stars. If it's not going to be 5, then it's fine. You don't have to do it. What was the other thing? Oh, you can comment on episodes. So I randomly went into an episode just to look and see what it looked like from a listener's perspective, to see if the captions looked okay and if they kind of told the story of what's going on in the episode. There was a bloody comment on it. Now, I don't get notified of those. I don't know where I, as the producer, because I just upload this podcast to a thing called Buzzsprout. And Buzzsprout distributes it basically, so it puts it on Apple Podcasts or iTunes Podcasts, whatever they're called, Spotify, and everything, Google Podcasts, and everything in between. So I don't get involved in that. But because I'm a big Spotify user, if I ever do need to look at the podcast or check what the episode number is, that's the way that I do it. And I just noticed this comment. And I commented on it trying to reply to the person, but I realised that because I'm in my own personal Spotify account, that's not me replying as the producer, presenter, I don't know, the person who owns the bloody podcast. Anyway, it'll take you seconds. Hopefully you've already done it by now and we can crack on. This will be an interesting one. We are going to completely move. I think the podcast recently, in fact, probably from Christmas, has been very, very mindset focused and behavior focused, and I don't know, just this is going to be like that, but coming at it from a different angle. I feel like the theme's been quite similar throughout, and that's okay, because themes are important. Repeating the same things over and over again from different angles is extremely important. If there is one thing I have learned from years and years of doing this and talking to countless people, it's that you don't just tell someone something once and that's it. I remember in the early days when I was running out of ideas, I feel like I've spoken about everything on Instagram. I don't know what else to post. And back when I was very new and naive to this thing, got help back then and learned, you just keep saying the same things over and over again. You just find new and clever and more practical and exciting ways to do it, because every time you talk about something, it will land differently with that person. And then the next time you do it, that person will get it, and so on. So themes are good, but this one is going to branch out from a lot of the things that I feel like we've been talking about recently. I've not actually looked at every episode title from the last 20 or whatever episodes and assessed every one. Just in my head, it feels like it's all been quite similar. So, overeating, over anything, but overeating, overconsumption. Let's start there. So there is a difference between overeating and overconsumption. Overeating is pretty self-explanatory. It's when you overeat. It's when you eat to excess. What would eating to excess be? Eating to excess would be eating more food than feels comfortable. Eating more food than you know you should. Eating when you know full well you don't need to eat anything. Eating when you're not hungry. Eating when you're full. Continuing to eat after your body's trying to tell you to stop when you're 3/4 of the way through your dinner. Sitting down at night in front of the TV with a bunch of snacks for no reason whatsoever other than you're bored or lonely or stressed or tired, or you've not had a great day and you're trying to inject some joy and pleasure into it. These are situations when we are overeating. Listen, I'm doing Beat the Street. There's only a few days left. There we go, all beat. I've got one more to do on this walk, and then that's me. Our school is winning, by the way. Head of Muir Primary School. Do you know what's incredible? How much this school gets behind this, right? So what happens is every year, the school gets handed all this stuff, and every child gets handed a bit of paper with an explanation. They get 2 cards. One's for a parent, one's for the child. I've got 2 kids, so we get 4, which is ideal, because there's 4 of us in the family. You go into the app, you register all the cards against your school, against your account, against your name. You write your names on the back, and you just take them everywhere you go. And if you walk past a Beat the Street thing, which they're always positioned on walks, like that's the whole point, is to get people moving, scooting, cycling, walking. Then they do like a big survey at the end, and it's like, okay, how did you get to most of these? How did you do this? Did you scoot? You know, they get something out of it because they find out about people's exercise habits in the local area. But anyway, the prize is the school gets something like £200 or £300 worth of books. Now that might not sound like a lot, but that's because you and I go to shops and pay like 10 quid for a book. You know, this is a school buying books at cost price from wherever. So that's a lot of books for the school library. They won it last year. I went mental with the beeping, like obsessive, and I got us into the like top 5 or top 10. We were like 4th, 5th or 6th, something like that out of everybody. This year, not so much. I've not got as into it. But the school's still winning. They're well in front by, like, I don't know, 40,000 points, and it ends in a few days. So they're going to win the books again, which is great. Anyway, overeating. So overeating is when we choose to eat beyond the point where we were supposed to stop, or when we didn't need it. And that's okay. There is absolutely nothing wrong with overeating when it's having a positive outcome, when it's having a positive influence. But let's be honest, overeating has a negative influence way more often than it has a positive one, doesn't it? So, and then the other thing is overconsumption. Now, the reason that these two things are different is because you don't have to overeat to overconsume. So, for example, you could have a takeaway for dinner on a Saturday night. It could be a perfectly positive thing. You approach it in a positive way. It was planned out. It's a great addition to your week. And you also have it with a bottle of wine. But the combination of those two things comes out at 1,500 calories, for example. Now, let's say you only need 2,000 calories in a day. You already had a 400 calorie breakfast. You already had a 600 calorie lunch. And now you're on 2,500 calories for the day. So you are going to bed on a Saturday night with 500 calories of excess in your body. But you don't feel like you did anything wrong. You don't feel like you overate. You don't feel stuffed. You don't feel uncomfortable. You don't feel like you've excessively eaten. But you've still overconsumed. So it's really important to, people get very caught up in this idea that, but I don't stuff myself, and I don't eat all the time, and I don't eat in the car, and I don't do this, and I don't do that, but I'm still overweight. And it's like, yeah, that's fine. That's great that you don't do those things. You've got fewer habits to work on. Yours is more an ignorance thing. Like, you're ignorant to the calories and things. You don't understand the calorific value. You perhaps don't realize that all that regular Coke that you drink has hundreds of calories. You're perhaps unaware that the 4 lattes that you're having each day are 800 calories. You don't realize that the 10 cups of tea that you're having each day with milk and 2 sugars in them are about 35 calories a cup. That's what I mean by ignorant. Like, you're oblivious to it. You just don't know. You don't know what you don't know until you know. So there's different categories, that sounds like a horrible word, different reasons why people find themselves in a position where they become overweight or carrying levels of weight they don't want to be. It's not just, I'm greedy or this or that. It's, a lot of people don't know. Yes, plenty of people do eat to excess and they are fully aware of it. They know that they reach for chocolate every time they're tired or sad or emotional. They know that they eat every time they're stressed. They know they go to the cupboard regularly. They know they neglect meals and instead snack and graze all day. They know that they clear every plate of food instead of listening when their body said, yo, we were finished 10 minutes ago. Why are you still eating? Plenty of people do that stuff. But plenty of people are also a higher weight and don't know. I have loads of people come into the Monroe method and we get to the point where it's like, what are your biggest obstacles with your weight? I don't know. I have a really healthy diet. I thought I did really well. I cook every meal and blah, blah, blah. And then I take a look at their tracking for the couple of days and say, well, yeah, your diet is pretty good. However, you're hardly eating any fruits and vegetables and your diet's very high in fat. That's why, I've just calculated your calories. You only need 1,800 calories per day, but these 2 days of normal eating that you've just shown me, you're having 2,300 and 2,600. And it doesn't feel like it to that person because they don't know. They don't understand calories. They don't understand the nutritional value of foods. They just have a very rough idea that, yeah, well, if I eat this stuff, because these look like healthy recipes, then that must be good. And it's like, yeah, but, I had someone recently complain to me, actually, which doesn't happen often, but it does from time to time, that I was asking them to reduce the fat in their diet. Oh, no, I need to eat all this because this is anti-inflammatory and this is this and this is that. It's like, yeah, but you're also 3 stones overweight, which is fine, but you don't want to be. And it's not particularly healthy to be carrying an extra 42 pounds of body weight. And part of the reason for that is that you've went too heavily into the healthy fat, got them back. I got my th and my f backwards there. You've gone too heavily into the healthy fat thing. You're eating too much salmon, too many eggs, too much avocado. Remember, health is not found by going all in on one thing because you read up about it. Oh, avocados are healthy. I'm going to eat 2 of them every single day. And that must make me like a super healthy person. It doesn't work like that. That was the last beat the street thing. It doesn't work like that. There is such a thing as too much of a good thing. Protein's great for you. Too much of it, I shouldn't say... No, I can say that. Unless you've got an underlying kidney issue, there is no such thing as too much protein. However, the caveat to that is if you are eating so much protein that you get bored or it's expensive, or actually I did have a client last week who had just come from working with a PT. She's eating 180 grams of protein a day. She is a very small human. Even if she wanted to build muscle, I would not have had her on that amount. Jesus Christ. And explained, that's fine. If you really enjoy eating 180 grams of protein a day, then go for it. However, it's going to make it very challenging to lose weight because once we reduce your calories, a lot of those are now going to be used up by protein and there's not going to be much left over for anything else. So it's like, yeah, you can bring that down to a minimum of 80 grams. And if you want to live between 80 to 100, that's great. And it's, for me, too much of something, just from working with loads of clients and seeing lots of different screenshots and analysing thousands of people's diets. The whole too much thing, for me, is when you're eating so much of something that it disrupts another area of your diet, right? So when it leads to a dietary imbalance. So for example, with that person, their PT told them, right, we're going to put you on 1,500 calories and you're going to eat 180 grams of protein. There's 4 calories in a gram of protein. That PT asked them to eat 720 calories worth of protein while on 1,500 calories. Now that only leaves over 700 and... what did I say? 780? What did I say? 180 grams is 360, 720. Right, so only leaves 780 calories to use on carbs, to use on fats. And that's not a lot. So you end up in a position where you're going to feel like all you're doing is guzzling protein shakes, eating protein bars, eating chicken, eating egg whites. That's going to get boring really quick. That's when you're having too much of something. When it leads to you not enjoying yourself, when it leads to you not able to enjoy yourself, when it leads to you feeling restricted because you've got to do this 180 gram protein goal, but you've got a night out on Saturday and now you've only got 700 calories left with to somehow go and have a couple of courses at a dinner and some drinks. Like, that's when it becomes an issue. And dietary fat, for me, and I've said this quite a lot over recent episodes, is the biggest problem. That person that I'm talking about that was eating all the healthy fats, they were eating 110, 120 grams of fat a day, over 1,000 calories. They only needed around 2,000 calories a day. So they're getting half of their calories from a source that makes your calories run out very quickly in exchange for very little food. Remember, 9 calories in a gram of fat. Look at chocolate, look at cheese, look at mayonnaise, look at vegetable oil. Look at nuts. How disappointingly small is a couple of 100 calorie portion. And it's just due to the sheer amount of calories these foods are able to contain inside them because of the level of fat inside them. And that's okay. Like, it's not that you avoid these foods. You don't stop eating cheese and stop eating mayonnaise and stop eating nuts. They're important additions to your diet. But the advice that I gave this person was, look, you need to scale that down. You have two things right now that are dependent on you reducing your fat intake. Remember, I'm saying reducing. I did not ask her to remove anything. I didn't ask her to stop eating anything. She can still have her eggs and her avocado and her salmon and her cheese and all these other things. But she needs to have half as much. She's having too much. Instead of having an avocado a day, let's cut that in half and spread it over 2 days. Instead of having 6 eggs in a morning, let's have 2 eggs each morning. Still doing the same thing, drastically reducing the impact of it. So yes, you're still getting your healthy fats. Remember, more fats, more healthy fats does not equal more health. When it's adding stones of weight to your body, you're then having that counteractive effect. You know, health is not found in a single food or a single nutrient. You don't go all in on it. That has the opposite effect. Remember what I always say about lettuce. Lettuce is a healthy food, allegedly, until you eat nothing but lettuce and then you drop dead from malnutrition. You do not find health in a single food or a single nutrient by going all in on it. You find it in balance. And that is the majority of what my job is, helping people achieve balance so that they can have a healthy diet and live at a healthy weight. So I think I said about it being 2 things there. I forgot what the 2... Oh, yeah. So I explained to her, look, yes, it's great. I'm not asking you to remove these foods. Have your full-fat Greek yogurt and all the rest of it, but have half of it. Let's try and get your fat down by 50% as a start point. Erin, stop. Dear me. Stop. Hey, come. Sorry, she's got... Stay there, stand. Right, go. She had a jaggy stick stuck to her hair. Yeah, you need to reduce it by half. You know, and if she's having 100 grams of fat, 1,000 grams of fat, I meant to say 1,000 grams of fat, 1,100 grams of fat, she's getting 900 to 1,000 calories from fat. If I get her to cut that in half, while still eating all the same foods, just half of them, she's still getting all the healthy fats, she's still getting all the benefits that she's read about, she still has all the stuff in her diet, but now we have just freed up 500 calories. Now that one change could be the thing that takes her from being at maintenance to a calorie deficit and she starts losing £1 a week. We could keep every single other aspect of our diet the exact same and our weight would start coming down just from that one change, you know. And this is part of what I do, like inside the first week. It's right, here is the stuff you're going to work through from days 1 to 6. Here's the things you're going to do and learn about yourself. Then you're going to come and show me what 2 days of your diet looks like, and I'm going to look at it and say, right, here is where you have been getting it wrong for all these years. For the vast majority of people, it's you're not eating anywhere near enough fruits and vegetables. You do not have any low-calorie filling power in your diet. Your diet's actually exceptionally unhealthy because this part's missing. And you're eating too much fat. That's what it is for most people. It's a double effect, right? They don't have any low-calorie filling power in their diet, which is leading them to consume higher calories because they're having to eat more of the higher calorie foods to compensate for the absence of that low calorie filling power. There's no fruits and vegetables in their diet to dilute the calories. And at the complete opposite end of the scale, where they're not leaning into the low calorie aspect, they're leaning more into the high calorie aspect. So not only do they have the absence of low calorie filling power, they're over consuming on the high calorie filling power. So, Jesus Christ, that was a long-winded explanation for overconsumption. So it's very easy to overconsume while not overeating. Because that person was a perfect example. Like, I don't feel like I have an unhealthy diet. I eat this, I eat that, I'm eating salmon, I'm eating avocado, I cook all my meals from scratch. Yes, you are, but all that stuff you're doing is leading you to eat 2,500, 3,000 calories a day when you only need 2,000. You're not an overeater, you're an overconsumer. So you're a different type of over person. Okay, let's circle back because I have wandered way off the track of what I actually wanted to get to. So have you ever had a day? I'll give you an example. Yesterday, I had an extended dog walk for reasons I won't get into. I dropped something and had to go back and find it. So I did about 4.5 miles with the dog yesterday, which is 1.5 miles more than normal. And my youngest son, Kerry, 6, had told me that he wanted to come and climb. There's a local hill that I go up quite often called the Meikle Bin. He said, I want to go up a hill. Now, he's never been up one before. You know what kids' imaginations are like. They just think about being at the top of the hill. He thinks he's going to fall off it. Like, he doesn't know what it's going to be like. Will I fall off it? Will you hold on to me? What's it going to be like? Will I be able to see far? Will I be able to see America? Can I see China? Like, all that stuff. And I was like, yeah, well, let's do it then. And my goodness, did he smash it. I was so proud of him yesterday, but that was another 5 miles, right? So I did about 30,000 steps yesterday. Now, a typical person, especially someone who struggles with their weight, would think of a day like yesterday and say, I need to eat more. I've burned a lot of calories today. I've done a lot of stuff. I need to eat more. Or they'll use it as justification. So they'll do it in a negative way, right? They'll use it as justification. Oh, I just did that big walk. I can get a takeaway tonight because I burned all those calories. And if I eat all those calories back, then it's fine. It won't do anything to my weight. And you might think that's an okay way to think until I ask you this question. Have you ever had a day where you've just sat on the couch and done nothing all day and your mind has went, oh, I better eat less today. Not really doing much today, better make sure I eat less because I'm not going to burn many calories. 99% of you are going to say no. And that's the problem. I have a private client, and we had this chat. This was one of her biggest light bulb moments of her life last year, where she went away to play badminton for a weekend and she spoke about how much she was eating and drinking. We went out every night, but it was fine because I did all this movement. And I was like, yeah, but what about all the overeating you do at home when you haven't played badminton and all that stuff? Do you ever, when you're at home and you're doing less? So let's not set being at home as the benchmark and everything that you do above that justifies eating more. Let's use your exercise as the benchmark and everything else you do as justification for eating less. And I just explained to her, like, look, it has never crossed your mind to eat less because you're at home on a Sunday doing nothing. So why is it in the opposite direction? The minute you play a badminton match, your immediate thought is, I need to eat. Why does it not work in the opposite direction? And this is the problem. This comes back to the whole overconsumption thing. This is how it was linked. Overconsumption is the single biggest driver behind everybody's weight, right? We all gain body fat the exact same way through the exact same mechanism. And you don't, like I said, you don't have to overeat to do it, but you do have to overconsume to do it. And whether your overconsumption comes from it's by accident or it's by intention, or if your overconsumption comes from overeating, whatever it is, you are consuming you are putting a level of calories into your body that it does not need. Your body only needs to, just not everybody, just I'm throwing numbers out there, but your body only needs 2,000. You're regularly putting in 2.2, 2.3, 2.4, 2.5. You're gaining a pound every couple of weeks. Like, remember this one, like your body is the most accurate food diary you will ever keep. So it does not matter what you think. Like, see the whole surely argument. That goes out the window when your weight's going up. Oh, but surely I'm burning enough calories for that. Surely I need to eat more when I exercise. Why surely? Your body is literally showing you what you are doing. Your body is having to get bigger to accommodate all the calories you're consuming. Your body will let you know when you're doing too much of something. Your body is it doesn't matter what you're tracking, what you think should be happening, what you think your weight should or shouldn't be doing. Your weight is always correct. It's never wrong. I'm not relating that to the scales. Let's just focus entirely on if your body is increasing in size, if your clothes are getting smaller, if you can feel it, if you can see it, if your measurements are increasing, if your clothes sizes are going up, like whatever's happening, you're over-consuming. And then it's about, right, why am I over-consuming? That's how I work it with everyone, right? Let's find out where each individual person is creating excess, and let's fix it. But yeah, this conversation I had with her, and it was a big light bulb moment for her. So when she mentioned, oh yeah, I went to play badminton and then I went out and we had this big dinner and 3 courses, but it's fine because I had, I did all this running about. Like, okay, but what about at home? When you do less, when was the last time you said, I need to eat a lot less because I've done a lot less today? Busy doggy moment. So yeah. And this is the problem, right? We live in a world where overconsumption is fine. We'll happily overeat. We'll happily eat when we're not hungry. We'll eat in front of the TV. We'll keep finishing plates of food even though our body's telling us to stop. We just do it. Ask someone to undereat. Oh my God, undereat? Holy shit. No, that's bad for you. You cannot. And this is such an old, it's like a generational thing. I remember saying to my father-in-law once when we had to live there during COVID, it was getting to dinner and I kind of came in out the conservatory because that was like my office. I was working on some big thing at the time and I came out and went, Jesus, I'm starving. I've not had anything to eat today. Oh, that's not good for you. And then he remembered who he was talking to and he was like, oh, or is it? And that's the thing. It's such a generational thing where this idea that, oh, you have to eat. No matter what, you have to eat. And maybe years ago, during the war, when we had food rations and all of that stuff, and yes, you had to eat at every available opportunity because you didn't know when the next food delivery was going to come in or the next boat was going to be blown up that was coming from America that was filled with supplies or all of that stuff. Yes, there was a time when you had to eat and you sure as shit did not leave a single thing on your plate. We don't need that anymore because that is an old thought process for a different time that we have now brought into a new recent time where it's not helping. We have 24/7, 365 access to food. Go outside and throw a stone, you'll hit a shop. You'll hit a petrol station. You'll hit a 24-hour drive-through. Christ, there's massive roadworks just along the road from me. I can be at a McDonald's in 5 minutes, right? Once they've finished these roadworks and they've built the drive-through McDonald's and the drive-through Starbucks, I can be at McDonald's in about 3 minutes. We have constant access to food. So this dated idea that you need to eat and you shouldn't, you can't not eat. Like, remember, pregnant women used to get told that they were eating for 2. They're not. Pregnant women need maintenance calories for the first 2 trimesters. In the 3rd trimester, an extra 200 calories a day. You don't need to suddenly start eating 4,000 calories a day and double your eating. Not to build a tiny, tiny, tiny little baby inside you. But anyway, underconsumption. We need to normalise undereating in people who have weight to lose. Don't start coming at me about people. What about people with eating disorders? I've ran all these statistics over the years. I've looked at it for creating various points. Off the top of my head, something like 68% of adults or 62% of adults in the UK are overweight or obese. And it's something like less than 3% of adults in the UK are underweight. That's wild. If you're underweight, yes, you might want to finish a plate of food. You might want to make sure that you eat if you miss a meal. But for the majority of us, and this is the thing, I'm going to say it right, for the vast majority of us, we need to get better at missing meals and undereating, because see people who maintain their weight, see people like me, who might be too busy that they miss breakfast and their first meal is lunch. Fine. People immediately go, oh, but you shouldn't skip breakfast, and they come out with all this shit, and then it's like, yeah, but look at me, I've maintained my weight for the last 10 years. Is there not something to be learned there? I might eat more on a Saturday night. And that one day during the week, or those 2 days during the week where I'm so busy that I forget about breakfast and my first meal is lunch, plays into the balance of my weight maintenance. And this is what I mean. We are a nation of over-consumers by nature, and we do not dream of under-consuming. We wouldn't dream of under-eating. Oh, you can't miss a meal. You can't miss a snack. No, every time I'm off for food, I can't say no to it. And but it's lunchtime. I need to eat. I'm not hungry because I had all those snacks between breakfast and lunch, but it's lunchtime, so I need to eat. This is what drives a lot of people's weight. This is part of the reason that people are overweight, because it's just constant. And think of it this way, and if you think of it as in financial terms, what happens if you keep spending money? What happens if you spend and spend and spend? You run out. And what happens when you run out and you want to keep spending? You have to take on debt. Oh, well, I've run out of money. My bank's empty. My overdraft's maxed. There's still a week to go until the end of the month. Better whip out the credit card. That is what it's like with our bodies. Right, you've already had your 2,000 calories today, but it's only lunchtime. You've still got your afternoon snack, your dinner, or your snacking in front of the TV to do. You're going to have to do that on the credit card. And that's when people's weight starts to go up. So we really need to normalise under-eating. It needs to become a normal thing. Not because we're trying to undo our overeating at the weekend. Not because we're trying to balance things out intentionally. But we want to habitually and naturally become people who are okay with eating less. Like I don't skip a meal during the week because I'm thinking about the Chinese I had on a Saturday night. Like, that doesn't even come into my mind. If I skip a meal, it's an accidental and natural thing where it's now 11 a.m. I'm starting to feel hungry. I've realised I've not had breakfast. That's fine. Lunchtime's in an hour. I'll have my lunch, I'll have my dinner. Instead of 3 meals today, I'll have 2. Instead of having 2,000 calories today, I'll have 1,500. Like, I don't think about that, but just to explain it to you, that's how it works. And then if you have 2 or 3 days like that, where you have about 1,500 calories less, and then on a Saturday night you want to go out for dinner and drinks, or you have a big takeaway, those 1,500 calories less now become 1,500 calories more, but they play into the overall balance of your diet and they create maintenance. So I'm almost back now. So let's normalise under-eating in a positive way. We're not restricting ourselves. We're not skipping meals to make ourselves hungry. We're not deliberately under-eating so we can overeat. We're not deliberately under-eating to undo overeating. These are all negative approaches. This is how we end up with disordered eating and excessive food noise and all these horrible things that people have to deal with. you can reach a point where undereating becomes the norm. In the same way that you've allowed overeating to become the norm. So get out of this idea that we need to eat, that we can never miss a meal, that, oh, it's lunchtime, better have something. Get rid of all that. It's part of the reason why your weight is where it is. Let's get into the habit of listening to our bodies when they tell us we don't need to eat. Let's get into the habit of listening to our hunger, but also our non-hunger. If you're approaching a mealtime and you simply do not feel hungry for it and you're confident that you can now make it to the next mealtime, go for it. If I can't do it. The meal that I can skip easiest is breakfast. I skip breakfast most days. The majority of days. Weekends may be different. I may want to have a fry-up or a cooked breakfast or whatever, but most days I don't eat breakfast. I typically will have a lunch because I know that if I disrupt my working day by picking the kids up at 3 o'clock, then as soon as I'm distracted from work, I'll start to feel hungry. And I don't want to do the afternoon snacking thing, so I'll have an intentional lunch. And then that's me fine until dinner time. And that is one of many things that contributes towards me living at a healthy weight, effortlessly. Not the intentional skipping of a meal, but knowing that it's okay to skip a meal, not having to double up it. And that's another thing. I work with so many people who are carrying very high levels of body fat, who, if they miss a meal, it's been so ingrained in them that that's a bad thing, they will double up at the next meal. Oh, I missed breakfast, better have a really big lunch. It's why? That's, you're 20 stone. That's one of your 20 stone behaviors. And it's just a mindset. It's, honestly, so much of our weight problems are given to us by our parents and grandparents. Not all, but many. We've got them to thank for it, for these generational, nonsensical things that get passed down. Oh, you need to eat. Can't skip a meal. Breakfast is the most important meal of the day. Blah, blah, blah. Anyway, enough from me. So yeah, let's get into the habit of undereating. Let's stop viewing undereating as a bad thing. And we've just normalised overeating too much. Restaurants are allowed to give us 3 courses. Who the fuck actually needs 3 plates of food at one mealtime? But that just, we just accept that. But when you go to a restaurant, that's how the menu's laid out. They want you to pick 3 different things. Yeah, that's fine. But you get to decide what you do, not be told what a restaurant's telling you to do. Remember, a restaurant's job is to extract as much money from you as possible for the time that you're sat in the bum at a table. They don't give a fuck about your weight. More drinks? Can I get you anything else? Sides? Bread for the table? Blah, blah, blah. Who wants to see the dessert menu? More drinks? After dinner coffee? Irish whiskey? Irish coffee. They don't care. All they see is pound signs. They don't see pounds and weight. They see pound signs. They don't care if they've just put 3,000 calories into a body that only needed 1,800. That's not their problem. That was up to you. So yeah, we need to stop normalizing excessive consumption. But sadly, that's a long way off. That's not something that the government's going to change, or restaurants are going to suddenly decide to have a change of heart and stop excessively overfeeding people or putting thousands of calories in them. It's going to be something that we have to do. So let's stop normalizing overconsumption, start normalizing underconsumption, and watch what happens to your weight. You're not going to go down to a drastically low weight, but you'll certainly be carrying less than you are now. And you'll feel more comfortable, less bloated, less sluggish, lighter, fitter, leaner. All these things. Anyway, enough from me. Until next time.